Hi everyone. I think in our day-to-day life you might have come across any of these following equipments. It is a conveyor system, a lathe machine, an elevator, an air compressor and a grinding mill. All these are the various applications of DC motors. In today's lecture, we are going to look at the basic operation of a DC motor. So what is a DC motor? A DC motor is an electrical machine which converts DC electrical input into mechanical output. So how does this happen? Now let us look at the working principle of the DC motor. For this, let us consider two field poles, north pole and south pole. So this is the north pole and south pole. We know that the direction of the magnetic field will be from north pole to south pole in this direction. In this magnetic field, we place a conductor at 90 degrees. So let us assume that the conductor is now carrying a current which is into the plane of the board. Here I am assuming the direction of the current is into the plane of the board. Now as per the corkscrew rule, the direction of the magnetic field around the conductor will be in the clockwise direction. So it is the screw which is into the plane of the board and the direction of the magnetic flux will be given by the curling of the fingers. So here the direction of the flux is in the clockwise direction. This is the magnetic flux of the conductor. Now here we can see that there are two magnetic fluxes acting. So one magnetic flux is due to the main field and another magnetic flux is due to the current carrying conductor. It means there will be some interaction between these two magnetic fluxes. Now what is going to be the resultant flux? If we want to study the interaction between the two fluxes, we divide the entire region into two parts. One portion is above the current carrying conductor and another portion is below the current carrying conductor. So now let us take the portion above the current carrying conductor. We can see that the main flux and the conductor, the flux due to the conductor are both in the same way. That is why the resultant flux is reinforced in the area which is above the current carrying conductor. Now what happens below the conductor? In this portion we can see that the main field flux is in this direction and the direction of the current carrying conductor, the flux of the current carrying conductor is opposite. Now it means that the main field flux is opposed by the flux of the current carrying conductor. So the resultant flux, we can say that there will be some force experienced on the conductor in the downward direction. Here the flux is more and here the flux is weakened. So the current carrying conductor will experience a force in the downward direction. This is because the magnetic field lines will always try to travel in a straight line path, whereas the flux is reinforced here and it is weakened here. So the resultant is whenever a current carrying conductor which is carrying the current into the plane of the board is placed in the magnetic field, the conductor will experience a force in the downward direction. In the same way we can say that whenever we place a current carrying conductor perpendicular and the conductor current is outside the plane of the board, the force experienced by the conductor will be upwards. These 2 points are very important for us. This is how whenever a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a force based on the direction of the current through the conductor. Now let us see how this is implemented in a DC motor. So we take a simple single turn conductor where the coil sides are A, B, C and D. So I am considering a single turn, one coil which is placed in the magnetic field, north pole and the south pole here. So what happens now? As we have already seen in the earlier explanation that this is a, whenever a current carrying conductor is placed in the magnetic field, it experiences a force. Now through this coil we are going to give a DC supply. So we give a DC supply to the coil A, B, C and D. Now the current flows to D, then C, B, A and again to the supply. It means the direction of the current through CD is into the plane of the board and the direction of the current through BA is outwards the plane of the board. As per the earlier case that we have studied, so the force experienced by the conductor AB will be in the upward direction and the force experienced by the conductor CD will be in the downward direction. So this can also be given by Fleming's left hand rule, which is applied to a DC motor. Now what is Fleming's left hand rule? We open the first three fingers of the left hand. The two known quantities are the direction of the current and the direction of the magnetic field. Here we place the forefinger along the direction of the magnetic field, and here the direction of the magnetic field is from north pole to south pole. The direction of the magnetic field is from north pole to south pole, and we place the forefinger along the direction of the magnetic field. Now the next known quantity is the direction of the current. For our reference, let us take the coil side AB. I am taking the conductor AB as the reference. So the direction of the current is outside the plane of the board. That is indicated by the middle finger. So forefinger along the direction of the field and middle finger showing the direction of the current. Here the direction of the current through the coil side AB is outside the plane of the board. Now the thumb will indicate the force experienced by the conductor. Here the force is given in the upward direction. So we apply here to the coil side AB the direction of the magnetic field, the direction of the current through the conductor, and the direction of the force will be in the upward direction. Similarly, you all can check for what is the direction of the force experienced by this coil CD. Now, what is the force experienced by the coil side CD? You all will get the direction of the force is in the downward direction. It means the force experienced by AB will be in the upward direction and force experienced by CD will be in the downward direction. The same thing can be represented like this. It is the front view. I can say the total picture, if you are taking it in the front view, it will be represented like this, where AB, the direction of the current through the coil side AB is outside the plane of the board. It is outside the plane of the board, so we are representing it with a dot, and through the coil side CD the direction of the current is into the plane of the board, so we are representing that with a cross. Now the force experienced as given earlier, it is upwards on AB and downwards in CD. This is for one turn and we are considering one coil. Like that, if we want to have more amount of force on the experienced by the armature conductors, we place more number of conductors on the armature. This picture shows more number of conductors placed on the armature. Now every conductor will experience, every current carrying conductor will experiences a force like this. So this is the force experienced by this conductor. So similarly, the force experienced by this conductor will be upwards. This will also be in the upward direction. This will also be in the upward direction. And on this conductor the force experienced will be downwards. It means all the conductors will experience some force. The sum of all these forces acting on all the conductors placed on the armature will give rise to a twisting force which acts on the axle of the machine. This axle is nothing but the shaft of the DC motor. So, sum of all the forces acting on all the conductors will cause a twisting force which is acting on the shaft of the DC motor. This twisting force is nothing but the torque experienced by the DC motor. So, this is the torque experienced by the DC motor. Now, due to the torque, the armature starts to rotate in the magnetic field. So, due to the torque, the armature starts to rotate in the magnetic field. Now, the current carrying conductors start to rotate. What happens then? Whenever the armature starts to rotate, the flux linking with the armature conductors will vary with respect to time. It means the flux linkage with the armature conductors will change. So, whenever the flux linking with the armature conductors change, an EMF will be induced in the armature conductors. This is nothing but the generator principle. We know that whenever the flux linking with any conductor will change, an EMF will be induced in the armature conductors. This will be by the generator principle. Now, we know that the induced EMF will oppose the cause of its production. The induced EMF in the armature conductors will oppose the cause of its production. Now, let us see what is the cause of production of this induced EMF. The EMF is induced in the armature conductors due to the DC supply that is given to the armature conductors. Now, we can summarize that the induced EMF will oppose the supply voltage. The induced EMF will oppose the supply voltage. That is why this induced EMF is known as back EMF. The induced EMF will be called as back EMF because it opposes the cause of its production, which is the supply voltage. We will be representing with V. Now, as this back EMF is produced due to the generating principle, we can write that the back EMF, the magnitude of the back EMF can be given by Zn phi by 60 into P by A. This is the magnitude of the induced EMF in a DC generator, which we have already studied. So, this is the magnitude of the induced EMF. Now, how do we represent this induced EMF and what is the significance of the induced EMF in a DC motor? So, to study that, we will now look at the equivalent circuit of a DC motor, and in that we will look at what is the significance of the back EMF. We know that the armature conductors are placed in the magnetic field. So, we represent the armature conductors like this. The armature is represented here. The armature conductors are supplied with a DC voltage through the brushes. So, these are the two brushes, and through these brushes we are giving a DC supply. Here it is represented by V. The armature offers some resistance. That resistance we are representing by RA. So, RA is the resistance offered by the armature conductors, and the current flowing through the armature is represented by IA. Now, the back EMF that is induced in the armature will oppose the cause, that is the DC supply. So, here the back EMF will be represented across the armature, and it is in such a way to oppose the applied DC voltage. Now, in this example we have taken a separately excited DC machine. That is why the excitation is shown here, and it is again fed with the DC supply. Let us say that the field winding is energized by supply VF. So, this is how we represent the equivalent circuit of a DC motor, and this is the mechanical load acting on the DC motor. So, every time instead of representing this type of a diagram, we will represent the equivalent circuit of a DC motor like this. Now, let us continue further to know what is the significance of back EMF. Applying KVL to this particular loop, we get that we apply KVL to this loop. So, we get V is equal to IA RA plus EB. So, V is equal to IA RA plus EB. Now, let us rewrite in terms of the armature current IA. So, we get IA is equal to V minus EB by RA. So, IA is equal to V minus EB by RA. Let us consider if the mechanical load acting on the DC motor increases. Let us consider that the mechanical load acting on the DC motor increases. So, whenever the load on the motor increases, then as per the first equation, whenever load increases, the speed of the motor will decrease. It means speed N decreases. So, when load is increased, speed of the motor decreases. So, when motor speed decreases, in this expression, let us say that the speed of the motor is decreased. When speed decreases, the back EMF will also decrease, and when back EMF decreases, as per this expression, we can see that the IA increases. Here IA is the armature current. It means whenever load on the DC motor increases, the machine, the DC motor will draw more amount of current. So that more amount of electrical power is consumed to meet the increased mechanical load power requirement. So, whenever the load increases, speed of the DC motor decreases, back EMF that is induced in the armature will decrease. Therefore, the motor draws high amount of electrical power in terms of the armature current to meet the increased mechanical load. So, in this way, the DC motor acts as a self-regulating machine. So, when load increases, it draws more amount of power. In this way, it acts as a self-regulating machine. Now, let us look at what is the expression of the torque which is developed in a DC motor. So, let us first start from the force that is experienced by one conductor in the DC motor. So, we know that whenever a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field which is given by the flux density, B, then it experiences a force. That force is given by BIL sin theta, where I is the current that is the conductor is carrying, and L is the active length of the conductor in the magnetic field, and theta is the angle between the conductor and the magnetic field. So, the force experienced by the conductor will be given by BIL sin theta, and this force will act on the position of the conductor and the axle of the rotor. So, the force is experienced by the conductor, and now let us look at what is the expression for the torque that is acting on the axle of the motor. Now, let us look at what is the net power that is developed in the DC motor. First, we will calculate what is the torque developed, and then we will look at what is the power developed in the armature. So, we know that the torque developed in the armature will be given by F, the force, into the distance between the conductor and the point where the force is acting. Here the conductor is placed on the outer surface of the armature, and the torque is acting at the shaft of the motor. That is why the distance between the conductor and the point where the torque acts will be given by the radius of the motor. So that is why we got armature torque. The torque developed in the armature will be F into R, where R is the radius of the motor. Now let us look at what is the work done by this force when the conductor completes one complete rotation. When the conductor completes one rotation, let us assume that the conductor is initially positioned here. Now for it to complete one complete rotation means nothing but it covers the distance of the total circumference. So the distance covered can be given by 2 pi r, which is the circumference of the circular DC motor, of the armature of the DC motor. So the work done is F into 2 pi r. Now let us look at what is the net power developed in the armature. So the net power developed can be expressed as the work done by time taken. Here the time taken is the time that the conductor takes to complete one complete rotation. Here we have assumed that the motor is rotating at n RPM. It means n rotations are made by the rotor in 1 minute. 1 minute means 60 seconds. Now what is the time taken for one complete rotation? So the time taken for one complete rotation can be obtained as 6 by n seconds. That is what we are going to substitute here. Work done by time taken. The work done is obtained from here, F into 2 pi r divided by 6 by n. So it can be rewritten as F into R into 2 pi n by 60. We have already seen that F into R is nothing but the torque developed in the armature. That is why F into R can be written as TA, torque developed in the armature. 2 pi n by 60 is the angular velocity of the rotor. Therefore, the net power developed in the armature can be written as the torque developed in the armature into angular velocity of the rotor. So this is the net power developed in the armature. From this, we are now going to look at what is the expression for the total power. The electrical equivalent of the armature power will be the back EMF that is induced in the armature into the current flowing through the armature. So the electrical equivalent of the mechanical power is EB into IA. So this is what we have got in terms of the torque, and this is in terms of the back EMF. Equating both these expressions, equating both the expressions 1 and 2, we can write TA is equal to, so we have n as the common term in both the sides, so we can cancel n on both the sides. 60 can also be cancelled. So rewriting for the torque developed in the armature, we have 1 by 2 pi into Z phi Ia into P by A. It means torque developed in the armature is directly proportional to the flux of the magnetic field and the current flowing through the armature. This expression is very important for us when we consider the characteristics of various types of the DC motor. This is the torque developed in the armature. Now what is the torque that is available to the load? That is known as the shaft torque. So shaft torque is the torque available to the load at the shaft, and that is given by shaft power by angular velocity. So T shaft is shaft power by angular velocity. Now, what is the difference between TA and TSH? All the power that is developed in the armature is not available to the load. So, all the power that is available, that is generated in the armature is not given to the load because there are some losses. So, there are some losses that occur, that is why some portion of the armature power is only given to the shaft. Now, let us look at a summary of this lecture. In this lecture, we have seen that whenever a current carrying conductor is placed in a magnetic field, it experiences a force that is given by, the magnitude of the force is given by BIL sin theta. The direction of the force experienced is given by Fleming's left hand rule. Because of this force that is developed on the armature conductors, the armature starts to rotate, and due to the changing magnetic flux of the main field linking with the armature conductors, an EMF will be induced in the armature conductors. This induced EMF will oppose the cause of its production, that is nothing but the DC supply given to the armature. Therefore, this is called as back EMF, and it makes the DC motor to be a self-regulating machine. That is, whenever the torque, mechanical torque on the DC motor will increase, then the speed of the motor decreases, and thereby the motor draws more amount of electrical power in terms of the armature current, and this makes the DC motor to be self-regulating. Now, let us look at some of the short questions that you will have to answer after looking at this lecture. They are: how a DC motor is enabled as a self-regulating machine, what is the principle of operation of a DC motor and how a torque is produced, what is the expression for the torque and the power developed in the DC motor. Thank you.